What's up, spacers? This is your specialist, the space technician. And Houston, we have a problem. While NASA was in the middle of a full system go-ahead for humanity's grandest endeavor yet, returning astronauts to the moon, the agency was dealt a scary setback that threatens future Artemis missions. Earlier this month, Orion's Safety Advisory Panel revealed a nightmare scenario: issues with the side hatch design that could trap astronauts during catastrophic pad emergencies or endanger survival on return from the hazards of deep space. Visions of our next moonwalkers fighting for precious seconds against jammed exit mechanisms or blazing infernos flash an ominous warning. NASA now scrambles to investigate and resolve what could become mission-critical before launching the Artemis II crew in 2025. But before we get into the details, mash that subscribe button and ring the bell to follow along with news about humanity's ascent into the final frontier. Let's go! Remember, strapping in is optional, but recommended. As many of you longtime viewers know, NASA's Orion spacecraft is key to executing the ambitious Artemis missions aimed at returning astronauts to the lunar surface. This new deep space vehicle consists of the crew module, which houses the astronauts, and the service module, which provides power, propulsion, and other critical capabilities. The core of the crew module is designed to fit up to 4 members and keep them safe during the 6-month missions beyond Earth orbit. It will be their new home as they journey 240,000 miles into deep space to the moon and back. This capsule provides life support, temperature regulation, credible radiation protection, and full residential capacity, more than any space vehicle previously built for deep space exploration. The crew module has a pressurized volume of almost 400 cubic feet, including the side hatch, which leads to the exit astronauts take in terrestrial operations. Now, an issue has recently emerged regarding the design of this side hatch. During a meeting of NASA's Aerospace Safety Advisory Panel last month, concerns came up that the current hatch configuration could limit crew ability to rapidly exit in certain off-nominal scenarios. While the full technical root causes remain unpublicized, we can speculate on some possible failure scenarios that could compromise the hatch function when seconds matter most. In the event of a fire, explosion, toxicity issues, or other serious launch pad risks prior to liftoff, astronauts would need to leverage the side hatch for an expedited exit. Timeliness could be life or death. However, the current hatch fittings and mechanisms could develop structural weaknesses or misalignments during the immense forces and acoustic energy on the pad. That could essentially bind things up, resisting opening efforts precisely when urgent evacuation is critical. Likewise, the immense heat and physics involved with atmospheric re-entry when returning from deep space missions at over 25 times the speed of sound could also threaten hatch integrity. If flight anomalies cause off-nominal descent or water impact angles, quick crew exit through the side hatch after ocean splashdown may be required. But we want total guarantee it operates as designed in those scenarios. Essentially, while we await specifics on the failures being investigated, it comes down to ensuring Orion's side hatch design accounts for the punishing rigors of the pad environment and high-energy returns across all potential use cases. NASA takes things to extremes to validate human rating, and they must now revisit side hatch robustness through that lens. So while the root causes are being studied, clearly this issue demands attention and fixes, given the proximity to the Artemis II flight targeted for September 2025. The risks from fighting to exit an impaired hatch in a dangerous scenario are too great. Modifications must be made. NASA and Orion contractor teams are currently investigating potential solutions. These could include reinforcements or redesigns of the hatch components or fittings. They also may develop specialized external tools for ground teams to open the hatch if necessary. But again, we're waiting on further updates around the root causes and fixes. This hatch situation comes in addition to another problem NASA engineers recently uncovered regarding Orion's heat shield. This large structure on the bottom of the crew module protects Orion from the intense heat of re-entering Earth's atmosphere at the end of a mission. On the successful unscrewed Artemis 1 test flight, the heat shield experienced much higher erosion than expected on certain portions of its ablative surface. Specifically, the AVCOAT blocks that compose the outer thermal protection system showed more material loss from charring and ablation than models and previous testing predicted. This heat shield issue is likely caused by gaps between the blocks that change airflow patterns and create localized hotspots. There also may be something going on with the composition, density, or underlying layer, allowing more penetration. Regardless, considerably less margin remains for Orion's safe return through descent and splashdown. Resolving both the hatch mechanics concerns and this heat shield erosion problem is absolutely critical prior to putting astronauts on Artemis 2. The last thing NASA wants is to subject the first Orion crew to any additional risk on their inaugural flight beyond the Moon. That's why agency and contractor teams are rigorously analyzing flight data, conducting material tests, and identifying fixes. And speaking of delays, as some loyal viewers may already know, NASA recently made the tough but ultimately prudent call to push back the Artemis 2 and 3 target dates. Artemis 2, which will be the first Orion flight with astronauts aboard, has moved from late 2024 into September 2025. The subsequent Artemis 3 mission that aims to return boots to the lunar surface has shifted even farther, from 2025 to no earlier than September the following year. NASA decided these delays were essential, given the various technical issues we've discussed surrounding Orion, in order to ensure crew safety and mission success. As the spacecraft at the core that will get our astronauts to lunar orbit, resolving Orion's problems is mandatory. The heat shield erosion and side hatch concerns are challenging enough, but NASA engineers also recently found defects with an electronics component used in Orion's life support system, as well as deficiencies with the backup launch abort power systems in some scenarios. Taking time now for robust testing, failure investigation, implementing corrective hardware updates, and process improvements on Orion avoids accumulating even more timeline risk down the road. The agency felt the responsible path was to delay up front, rather than hoping problems get addressed in time for ambitious target dates. And while this news is certainly disappointing to hear, remember, returning to deep space and landing humans on another world is an enormously complex undertaking. Delays allow NASA and industry partners like Lockheed Martin, Airbus, and beyond to make mission-critical systems as safe and reliable as possible for those pioneering astronauts who will embark on these Artemis journeys. So, in summary, pushing the targets back now ultimately helps pave the way towards that epic moment when we triumphantly plant our boots on the Moon once again. This gives me strong confidence in NASA's commitment to getting exploration right. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about these latest updates around Orion and Artemis? Have your perceptions changed at all with the recent delays? Let's get a discussion going in the comments section. Also, if you enjoy getting the latest about NASA's deep space exploration efforts, the Artemis program, and updates on Starship's progress toward supporting lunar missions, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell to know as soon as I publish a video. Leaving a like is also hugely appreciated. This is the Space Technician signing off for now, and I'll see you, Space Cowboys, in the next one.